Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our tried and true revenue generators that you can replicate at your community newspaper. My name is Brad Simpson. I am the PNA president here. I'm excited to kick this off this morning. Beautiful morning here, at least in central PA, and hopefully it is all around your areas. There's obviously no real reason to reinvent the wheel regarding identifying new revenue opportunities for your community newspaper. Today we have invited a panel of newspaper leaders to share the details about the successful initiatives that they have launched at their publications. Pleased to introduce, and joining us right now are Jasmine Hughes, the advertising director at the Pittsburgh City paper, Sherri, the associate publisher at the Bedford Gazette, Andrew Olsen, the publisher at the Times Review Media Group, Don Fisher, the director of advertising at the Republican Herald in Pottsville, Heidi Gebhardt, the ad director at the Meadville Tribune, and then finally Carole DeAngelo, the advertising director at the Observer Reporter in Washington. So with that said, to start today's discussion, I'm happy to pass the conversation over to Jasmine. So Jasmine, if you can kick us off and share with other publications as they look to find new ways to generate revenue.
Thanks, Brad, and thanks for having me. I always am on these panels as a viewer, so to be asked to share an idea is really cool. I'm excited, and thank you all that have your screens on, because encouraging nods are super helpful. And like, then I can also see Matt when he's telling me like speed it up, because I was practicing in the car on the way here of what I wanted to say, and I have a half-hour drive in, and I was hitting the tunnels. I was like, oh shit, I just spoke for 30 minutes to myself. So I'll reel it in for you all, but just know that if you have questions about the idea, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm really happy with where this has come. It's hit a lot of notes and it's pretty exciting. So next slide, please, Matt. Concept for Pittsburgh City Papers idea. So we launched a store, an online store last year, and that's the idea I'm going to talk about. Within this idea are a lot of other ideas, so I'm not going to go into those as in-depthly as I would love to, but it just shows what a great idea this is, because so many things have been able to branch off of it, and it has hit so many notes among not only revenue but also marketing and customer engagement and reader engagement. So very excited to share this. Essentially, we launched this during the pandemic. Obviously, we all know what it felt like last mid-March when all of our revenue started canceling immediately and things were really falling apart very quickly. We instantly launched a membership program at that time. It was just a way. We are a weekly newspaper. We are not a paid newspaper. We're completely free, online, in print. So we don't have that revenue stream coming in, and we've never asked our readers to pay for what they're reading from us. It's a typical alt weekly model, and it works. But when there's a pandemic happening and you're not getting that revenue, obviously it does make it a little difficult. So we launched our membership program and saw an overwhelming response of readers, and really started getting an idea of how much people appreciated what we were offering and how much they wanted to help. So the membership program launched, people started signing up and contributing, and in lieu of that, they started asking, how else can I support the city paper? So that was kind of like one of the first pieces of the genesis of this idea. The second piece was that, I'm sure a lot of you can attest to this same issue, was there were people on staff that did not have anything to do because their entire workload was taken away. So in this case, for me, it was two people: a graphic designer who mostly worked on client ads and clients were canceling, and an event coordinator whose entire event and marketing docket was put on hold for the time being. They both were, obviously helping with the membership program, helping where they could, but I saw an opportunity that, okay, we don't have a lot of manpower, we're trying to avoid furloughs. What can I do? How can I utilize them? We need to find new revenue, and it's not going to come from ads. So with that, we had people asking about subscriptions that would love, obviously with the pandemic, they weren't leaving their house. So we started getting questions like, how could I subscribe? And then I also wanted to launch a revenue idea. I had been sitting in on a roundtable with other alt weeklies, and somebody was talking about launching a coloring book. Thought that was a really cool idea. And then the more I started thinking, I was like, Pittsburghers love their food. Let's do a cookbook. It's not a new idea for newspapers. We've been doing them for probably a century, and putting recipes out in some way or form. So, okay, we're going to do a cookbook, and I'm going to have this event coordinator and graphic designer really take the lead on it. It was perfect because my event coordinator is super into the food scene here in Pittsburgh, and I really wanted this to be something that came from the homes of chefs and like a lot of known chefs and restaurants here, food bloggers, that's a really big thing right now. I'm sure you see it in all your markets, people talking about food, posting about food. Well, now people are making livings off of it and have entire followings, and then local celebrities. But to be able to launch these two things, I needed somewhere to be able to sell them. So then I started really thinking about how can I have a store, because I need to be able to accept credit card payments. We do tend to have a younger audience. We have that older audience, but we have a lot of younger readers as well. And I know that younger people are not going to want to send a check in for a cookbook. They need to be able to do a credit card payment. So I also needed to figure out how to turn the cash flow very quickly because I couldn't put money up front. I didn't have any budget. So this store allowed me to do that. And Matt, you can go to the next slide and I'll kind of walk you guys through how I launched that store from there. So I started doing some research on stores and what the best option was for us. We're small. We only had, before pre-pandemic, we had 19 employees. Post-pandemic, right now we have 13 employees. So we're very small. But I wanted something that when somebody looked at it, it was at a level that people felt comfortable putting money into it, right? Like if you go to a sketchy site, you're not going to put your credit card into it. So it needed to be something that looked great, but was on a $0 budget. And Shopify was perfect for that. It looked great. The templates were fantastic. It was super easy to use. Everything can be done through Shopify. I am able, the people who order the cookbook or they order a subscription, if there are shipping charges, it's put on top of that. If there are taxes, it's put on top of that. They're paying that in there, but they don't feel like we're charging that. Shopify was great too because it allows you to process the shipping right through there and pay it. So I'm not having to get a payout of all the money I just made and then use that money to then go pay for shipping. Because if anybody has ever shipped anything that weighs over 3 ounces, you know that you're paying at least $5 or more. So Shopify also gives discounts for the shipping. It also taught me that anything like a book or music, I could use media mail through. So now I'm able to ship these books for $2 to $3 instead of $5 to $7. So that was kind of the genesis of using Shopify. It just really for us was the best option. The fees are very low. It's all based on what you're selling. And then I think it's a $29 a month fee for my account. So everything else is just associated with the sales. So if I'm not making any sales, I'm not paying any money except that $30 a month. And kind of going off of that, I then went and looked at my shipping needs and expenses and wanted to keep that down. I needed to be able to figure out how to purchase things. So I really started just searching the internet and seeing what my best prices were. As I said, Shopify allows you to do all of the packing labels and the shipping labels right through their website. So all I had to do was buy the Staples version of these shipping labels, and I buy those by 500 at a time, so 1,000 labels because there's 2 to a label. And then I was able to go on, this is the biggest thing, I was looking for envelopes and they weren't cheap. I was like, okay, I need to be able to ship something and it needs to be weatherproof because I can't have people getting this cookbook or their newspaper and it's like wet. So I was able to find poly bags on Amazon, literally $50 for 1,000 every time I order them. It's so inexpensive. And then when we started expanding the store and eventually doing cups and glassware, I was able to purchase boxes from Uline. So just a few names, if you do anything like this or already are shipping things out, there's some of the work done for you. And then the biggest thing that I like to tell people about this store, because I was able to withhold about a 70 to 80% profit margin on almost everything. And the way that I was able to do this is through trade and bartering. We are in a group that trades and barters. So we have like a whole network. I already had a printer who is just like a Minuteman press printer. And with the cookbook, I didn't want to do a tabloid. I wanted to do something that was glossy, but I also knew that I couldn't afford to buy like a cookbook, a hardback. And the other thing we did with the cookbook is that we wanted to, just got a notification. Is everyone hearing me okay? Okay, great. We wanted to be able to really show off those recipes and the design work and whatnot. So I worked with this printer and we actually did it. It was like more pamphlet style, 100-pound gloss. So it's still a really nice piece. And we partnered with 412 Food Rescue and they got 50% of the proceeds as well. So everything we've done in the vein of like the cookbook and some of the other ones I'm going to show you at the end here, we have tried to partner with some nonprofits that make sense. So we could really show people like during the pandemic, yes, we're suffering, but we also want to help others who need the help as well. And if there's ways we could do that. But so basically, if it was a partnership product, we were making 50% on most of that, 45 to 50% profit margins, but on everything else, I was making 70 to 80% at least because I was trade and bartering the products for it. So last slide, Matt. And I'm narrowing, this is my last slide for everybody. So I'm doing okay on time, much better than my drive-in. So promotions, partnerships, and unique products. So we have launched a lot of products over the last year, and it has been really fun. Most of the work has been done by myself, the editor, and our operations director, kind of just putting our heads together, looking at seasonal things, looking at opportunities. After we did the cookbook, we moved on and did a coloring book, which features 35 artists doing amazing scenes of Pittsburgh. They're funny, they're cute. There's a Picklesburg one, and all the people are pickles. You know, it's very Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh people love Pittsburgh. I'm sure in every community that's on here right now, you know that people have their little inside jokes about your communities or things that they love, or you have your staple sandwich or your staple food, whatever it could be. So we really try to capitalize on some of those things. We also, as you can see, the coronavirus is a jag-off. That was one of the covers we did in April. So we took that and we made that into some products and did a mask. Obviously, a lot of people were buying masks last year. And we also partnered with, in the top right hand corner, you could see the t-shirt that we did. So this was a partnership we did with a local union press who was working with anybody who wants to do t-shirts. The price per t-shirt was a little higher, but that entire like $3 actually that you paid per shirt went to the employees. So it was a workers fund that they created. So then we were able to sell that. So we created these t-shirts, basically took what an online troll called us a woke commie rag. So we put it on a t-shirt and people literally adored it and bought it. We had a red one first, and then we did a black one, and we sold over 300 t-shirts. So people just like merch. It's like, you know, so coming up with fun things. To promote it, we've utilized only our own products, print, website, newsletters, and social. We've not paid for any advertising. We've not done anything more than there. We also partnered with businesses and nonprofits. So the artists and those chefs that were in those books were all promoting it and saying like, hey, check me out, I'm published. And some of the other like Commonwealth Press, who we worked with on the t-shirt, they're now promoting what we're talking about. And that's a whole nother audience that we don't have and don't have to pay for. So I highly recommend in these types of things, trying to find really great partnerships, respected things in the communities that people appreciate, including your business, obviously, your newspaper. We also started doing a lot of promotions through the year to reintroduce products that we had left over. So after we started selling the cookbook, I sold out of the first 250 within the first couple weeks. So I did a whole another order of 500, and we've to date sold over 400 cookbooks. So it just and they continue to sell. I had an order yesterday. They just come through every once in a while. We send checks to 412 Food Rescue every 6 months of whatever we've sold. Do the same thing with the coloring book artists. They were more of we did get a PayPal through this. That's one thing I would suggest is with Shopify. A lot of people want to pay through PayPal, but that also allowed us to like pay artists and other people we're working with who prefer that payment method. And then we also launched just other fun things. You can see the St. Patrick's Day that we did this year. And then also, it's not really big, and that's on purpose, but we have pins if you want to check them out. Hashtag not safe for work. So look at them. They're really funny, but they all have Pittsburgh innuendos that launched for Valentine's Day. So they're a little naughty, but they'll make you giggle, even if it's just personally. But it's just been a really great thing because, like I said, this hit a lot of notes, and it wasn't just a revenue note, which between our membership program and this store, we were able to last year regain 12% of the revenue we lost from 2019 through these two projects. And before that, we really didn't have enough other revenue streams besides events. So this really made up and made a difference. And it was kind of like you're trying to do every little thing. And this was done mostly by myself and at launch, that event coordinator and our editor. So we just continue, like the buttons, we have a button maker. We make those buttons. Our editor and editorial designer made the backs for the buttons. So everything's done in-house, and then the things that have to be done out, we work with barter and trade. So I put in there, this has just been really great. The idea has been a profit generator since inception, because I underline profit because revenue is great, but revenue has expenses. This has been profit for us.
It's great to hear, Jasmine. We had one question. Well, we had a couple questions, but I'm going to limit it to one right now so we can kind of move on here. The question that came in was, now that you've succeeded in this, will you continue doing it post-pandemic? Is this a long-term thing, and how will you staff it now that those workers have to be doing other things?
Yeah, so actually our event coordinator was no longer with us after July. So everything after July has been done by myself and the editor. We don't have a marketing director, we don't have anything. So most of these are myself, a designer, and our editor coming up with the ideas, putting them into concept. And once you get them on the store, it's really done from there. I do most of the shipping, and then a couple people might come in that day to help. So it's really just an all hands on deck. It's not a job that someone needs to keep up with every day. You know what I mean? It's really just you just need somebody who has the right project management skills that can keep up with it. And then we have been launching new products all year. The pins that we did and those t-shirts, we'll cross a river for you. Those were done in February. The St. Patrick's Day stuff was done in March, and I ordered extra glassware. We're going to be at the Pittsburgh Irish Festival later this year. So the idea is to start selling on site when it makes sense, because I think we've all been in the position where we have booths and we're like, why did we even have that booth? We did nothing. That was a terrible waste of time. So I think the store is also going to help us with the booth, and then it will have revenue associated. So yeah, it's been mostly just the team kind of, when we have an idea and we launch it on the store, it goes forward. We have a couple days of doing some extra shipping that might be an hour each day, and we move on. And the store kind of just keeps itself moving.
Great. Well, thank you for everything on that. It's a lot of information. I want to keep us moving here. So next up is going to be Sherri from the Bedford Gazette.
Hi, everybody. Jasmine, you're a tough act to follow. Thanks. And I want to say thank you to Brad and Matt and Jane and everybody. Thank you for joining me. I'm Sherri Growden. I'm the associate publisher of the Bedford Gazette, and we are going to talk about our women in business promotion. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, women-owned businesses made up approximately 20% of all firms that employed people in the United States in 2018, but the number is growing. There were 61 more women-owned firms in 2018 than 2017. In 2019, the proportion of women in senior management roles globally grew to 29%, and in 2020, that percentage remains the same. I equate that to about 300 businesses in Bedford County. We're a daily newspaper here. We have a Sunday TMC. We struggled through the pandemic just like everybody else. We are printing every day except Monday. Monday is still online, hoping we get up to Monday printing soon, but I don't know that we have plans for that yet. Our digital numbers have grown exponentially, so that's wonderful. But those 300 women-owned or women-managed businesses in Bedford County, if everybody took out a $100 ad, which is, you know, on the lower level of the ads that we sell, that's a heck of a revenue. So this comes out the third week in October in conjunction with Women in Business Week. We partner and we work very closely with BPW, Business and Professional Women of Bedford County. We, our county commissioners here in Bedford, sign a Women in Business proclamation. Our reporters come out, we get photos, and if you go to the next slide, Matt, thank you. You can see this was what we did last year, and it maybe doesn't look like a lot for some of your larger newspapers, but for us here at the Bedford Gazette, that really is a lot. It has grown more than 600% in the last 10 years. And we have such a cool mix of people. We have a woman-owned trucking business. We have many realtors, a lot of healthcare. We have a woman that owns a bison farm that the bison were actually featured in Dancing with Wolves, the movie. So, you know, there's a lot of history, and it's just something that we all look forward to. The sales team starts talking about it probably in September, and we're constantly, oh, what about this person? Oh, you forgot this person. Don't forget this person. And it just keeps growing and growing. And it's really a passion project for me. I really like it. Is that enough?
Yeah, that is more than enough there. We did have a question come in on that one.
Okay.
So when you're doing this, what's the response from the community as you put it out? I assume, you know, the question assumes Bedford's a rural community, and maybe you could talk a little more to that, but what's the reaction from the community?
The community absolutely loves it. I mean, we don't get a ton of people at the signing of the proclamation at the courthouse, but a lot of people from BPW and a lot of women-owned businesses go there. So we might get a crowd of 20 people, which is a lot for a commissioners meeting, you know, to sign a proclamation. And the response back is wonderful. Every time this comes out, and you know, this is my worst fear when I'm selling advertising, is I get a call, oh, hey, I wish I had known about it. I would have wanted to be in it. How do I get, you know, featured in it next year? How do I get more involved? What can I do? And those are good things, but we try to hit everybody before, but sometimes we're just not able to.
Another question came in for you, Sherri. What's the sales pitch to advertisers? So when you go talk to them, what do you say? Why should they be in here?
Why wouldn't they want to be in here? You know, even if you aren't a woman-owned business, you are dealing with women. Women make the buying decisions of so many different aspects of everything: cars, homes, healthcare. You know, you want to be in there. You can see that there are a lot of photos. I definitely try to get the photos because people, you know, we're a small town. People recognize, oh, that's so and so. Oh, she's a realtor now. Oh, we've been thinking we need a bigger house. So that's the person that I'll call.
Great. They're also asking, how many pages does this average?
Well, last year we were limited to color, so we squeezed everything in 2, but usually we're a 4 or 8 page, and then it has more articles about women. But last year we were really constricted. That dang pandemic.
So are you going back then to the larger
Absolutely.
scope?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. And it's not a special, is it a special section, or is it it's within the ROP traditional?
Well, we like it to be a special section. Last year, we had just started printing off-site, so we were kind of limited on what we could and couldn't do, and we were testing the waters. So we had it printed, but usually it's usually an 8-page section. The ads are just more spread out. We just condensed it this year.
And you said there's other content in there. What kind of content are you placing in?
Oh, whenever I talk to an advertiser, I always ask them to send a press release, what's new, what's, you know, the latest, that type of thing. And our reporters do a terrific job of gathering that information. I'll offer them leads. You know, this person just started, like the Bison Corral. You know, did you know that they were featured in Dancing with Wolves. Did you know that they birthed, 17 new bison calves just this spring? I'll pass that information along, and everybody on the team does too.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's a great thing that I think a lot of us can duplicate at our own publications and tie into the community while, as always, making more revenue and profit. So our big goal there.
Name of the game.
So next up is going to be Andrew. Thank you, Sherri.
Thanks, Sherri. Good morning, everybody. My name is Andrew Olsen. I'm the publisher of Times Review Media Group. I'm based on the very eastern tip of Long Island. It's called the North Fork. I publish 3 community weeklies, and I have a whole lifestyle platform as well. This is very much a tourism market. We're located about 90 miles from New York City. So a lot of the people that left the city during the pandemic actually came here and bought second homes. Next slide. So again, we have our news brands, lifestyle brands, all print and digital sort of assets. We have an award-winning team, and we've won tons of national and state awards. Next slide. So the Wall Street Journal had a story, I don't know, pretty recently, within the last couple of weeks, where they talked about global advertising spend. And the forecast was that globally, we were going to see a 19% rebound in ad spend. And of that, in 2021, there was going to be a 26% jump in digital advertising. So as I think about the business, I want to make sure that we're really positioned for digital because that has a higher growth rate. Next slide. So one of the things about digital is digital revenue is recurring. It's on credit cards, really, really scalable and very high margin. So it was interesting, sort of looking at our revenue in 2019, 16% of my total revenue was derived from digital. That number went up to 20% in 2020. And this year, despite a big, sort of rebound in our sales volume, I'm going to have a 28%, total revenue from digital sources. Next slide. So the other thing that we really focused on, and this was again pre-pandemic, but I think it really helped us weather the pandemic well, is we've been focusing on reader revenue. I actually went in and I met with the staff at the New York Times, and one of the things that they focus on is creating content that's worth paying for. I mean, that's basically their business sort of premise. I'm trying to replicate that at a very small local level here. But despite an overall revenue contraction in 2020, my reader revenue increased from 12% and now represents 18% of my total overall revenue. So again, if you have businesses that are, they're shut down, they can't advertise, we were still able to, again, grow that kind of base of recurring revenue. Next slide. So just some, again, hopefully you guys get 1 or 2 ideas out of this. Kind of our top 10 revenue margin drivers. One is to build digital focus into everything that we do. And we've been doing that for the last 10 years. In 2010, we had Patch come into our market. We actually had a journalist from our team that was hired away by Patch. There were other sort of smaller blogs and things like that, so it really made us focus on digital. Second thing is pick the right partners. We have some amazing partners that we work with in terms of software companies. My banking partner, we were able to get PPP funding really early on during the pandemic when everybody was kind of vying for the dollars. We were able to get that secured. We got it forgiven by our bank and then also approved by the SBA really, really quickly, which just gave me, as the owner of the business, more comfort that we had the cash flow to be able to operate. SCS, I don't know if you guys were all from Pennsylvania. SCS is an amazing company. I've worked with them for the past 20 years, and they've really helped me automate a lot of the different, workflow and processes that we have in place here. Automate manual tasks. So I have a service directory area in my papers where we have, probably 15 pages of landscapers and irrigation people and electricians and things like that. And if we got a new advertiser, let's say we had an asphalt company come in to advertise, we would have to move all the ads after, to be able to insert the new advertiser. We're using a piece of software called ClassPage, which is from SCS, which allows us to, in a keystroke, be able to have all the ads just kind of move. So that's really saved us a lot of time. And that really, so we were one of the early businesses in the beginning of March that I came in on a Monday morning and somebody said, that a woman from our staff on the copy desk was out sick and she was at the hospital with pneumonia-like symptoms and she had COVID. She was one of the early cases. So I wanted to communicate that to the community, which we did. We pivoted and moved the staff to remote working within 15 minutes. And we were on deadline and we hit all of our deadlines. And a big part of that was having, again, all the IT infrastructure in place to be able to handle that. And also having things like automation with our classified section where we could, again, produce the pages and then be able to upload them into the document, send them off to the printer without missing a beat. Sales CRM. So I don't know if you guys know Robin Smith from Ask CRM. He's amazing. And the great thing about Ask CRM is I get an automated report every single night where I can see which sales rep, from my sales team has talked to what customers. And that's really helpful because then when I go get a sandwich at the deli for lunch and I bump into the guy that owns the auto dealership, I know that he spoke to somebody from my sales team the day before and I know what they talked about. It's also really helpful because it allows us to actually push marketing material out. So if I want to segment for a certain type of, sort of client. So this is a selling sheet that we have for the next magazine that I have a wine publication. It's called the Long Island Wine Press. I can segment by different categories of business, like real estate, restaurants, hospitality-based businesses, and send this, sort of physical print sheet to them digitally, and then the sales team, with an individual message from a particular sales rep. So that's been really good. Experiment with outsourcing. So I had somebody go on maternity leave who's really talented, and our flagship paper, which is the Suffolk Times, which has been around for 164 years. And I needed to be able to paginate that paper. So we outsourced our pagination where we assembled the document internally, but a lot of the pagination was done externally. And that also helped us during the pandemic be able to deal with staffing issues. Marketing, we're doing a lot, particularly with digital marketing. Legal notices, so I'm really active with the New York Press Association, and the New York Press Association actually has a portal now where we outsource all of our legal notices with our customers through that portal, and then they send us basically the finished section or the finished ads. That's been great. Increased prices. So we're in an inflationary environment right now. Obviously, that's hitting every kind of sector. We just had an air conditioning unit here at my office go, and I got the estimate back to have it replaced, and obviously we're going to do it because it's the summer. But it was more expensive than I expected. And when I talked to the person that did the estimate, they're like, our material costs are up 15 to 17% right now. And I had a New York Press Association board meeting last week, and we talked about the increase of paper costs, the increase of postage that's coming. So, big kind of cost sectors for our business are obviously increasing. So I increased my prices for our from a reader revenue subscription standpoint back in 2019. And we went from $55 to $85 for an all access subscription. So a 35% increase in cost. We then established our digital access to our digital websites using metered access. And we went from 0 reader revenue to $1 a week or $52 a year. People can also do $6 a month if they are more comfortable with that. So that yields obviously $72 of revenue annually. But that's been really good for us because that's all plus revenue, and it's also helping to keep my print circulation higher. I mean, obviously it's going down as everybody's is, but it's going down at a slower rate because people are paying for the content. Lifestyle focus. So I was really fortunate last year to be able to hire a woman named Sarah Austin. I don't know if you guys know Real Simple magazine, but Sarah had national magazine experience. She was the executive editor of Real Simple, and she came on board as my editor running all lifestyle, and she's amazing. So that is this product, which is called North Forker magazine. I started it as a website. So we had a bunch of niche magazines that we rolled together into a lifestyle site called northforker.com. And then I reverse publish it back to print about 3 years later. This magazine is 132 page magazine for June. Actually, this is for May. My June magazine is bigger. We just went to press with a 182 page magazine. So really nice kind of growth in advertising month to month. And actually during my sales meeting this morning, we looked at it relative to 2019, and we're up significantly from 2019. Monthly benchmarks and stats. So I do think that data is kind of where everything is going, and the more proactive we are on that front, the better position we're going to be. So we look with our team at every single channel that we have: Instagram, Facebook followers, obviously my unique visitors to the website, our traffic to each of the websites by brand. And then we look at stories to see what stories are driving, traffic in a particular month. So we always have kind of the top 5 traffic drivers by brand, which is really helpful to look at. And I have, the editorial team, my advertising team, myself, we're all on that call, a Zoom typically, where we go over those numbers. Set up digital channels and the ability to buy. So, for example, our classifieds. People can go onto my website and buy place a classified ad without having to talk to anybody from my staff. That's really good during holiday weeks where our phones are ringing off the hook with people placing yard sale ads and help wanted ads and things like that. And my staff just can't handle the volume, so people can go onto the online site and purchase. We use a piece of software called Bluefin for that, that integrates with SCS, and it's great. Really, really talented team. And one of the things that they said before I signed up for the software was they typically see a higher revenue yield when people place the ad themselves versus going through a sales rep, which I kind of took with a grain of salt, but that actually did prove out. We do see much higher buys when people do it themselves. They add logos, they add boxes. It's all on an automated credit card, and it's here waiting for you when you come in the morning. So I really like that. And then focus on cash flow. I was out visiting customers yesterday, and I actually was able to pick up some checks from people, which was great. I've really, really focused on getting credit cards from our customers, ACH, automated, deposits into our accounts. And it's made a huge, huge difference in our cash flow. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. We had a few questions come in. First one was, what was the net effect of the 35% price hike on your subscription models?
So we didn't see any acceleration of the decrease in subscriptions. What it did was and I saw a big increase in my digital only subscriptions. And that continues. I mean, again, I love it when I go to the beach, like I will tomorrow or Saturday, whatever, and I come home and I check and I see that I had a bunch of people subscribe to digital subscriptions while I was, not working. So I'm trying to build a model like that where, again, the business can just kind of run with people paying for things that at a certain point you need to make a decision. Are you going to invest in quality content. And if you do that, there's obviously an expense associated with that. And there's a shift in media consumption patterns. I mean, does anybody leave any place without their phone? No. I mean, they're checking their phone, throughout the entire day, and and they expect breaking news, and we've assembled a team to do that. But in order to do that, you have to fund it somehow. And the other thing I did, we did a whole communication plan when we launched the price increase. A letter from me, an editorial in each of the newspapers and on our websites. We blasted it across social media. So we really tried to be proactive in terms of, explaining it to people. And then the other thing that I would say is, if anybody says that they're unwilling to pay $1 a week for my content, then fine. I mean, I accept that. You need to kind of move on if that's the case.
And you mentioned tracking stats. What kind of benchmark stats do you track regularly?
Actually, so here's the sort of the stats document, which is sent to everybody. So Facebook likes, newsletter recipients, build out your digital, the people that are getting your newsletters, Instagram followers, page views, and users. So I do that by each of the 4 brands, or the 4 different sort of major areas, and then top stories, by brand. So you're looking to see kind of what's driving your traffic.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that today. Again, we'll just keep moving along. We have a lot of other ideas to share today. So next up in our group today will be Dawn from the Republican Herald.
Thanks, Matt. I'm happy to be here this morning. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about From the Heart publication that we did. So looking at, I call it a contest, but I'm going to use that word lightly, because we kind of built it out as a contest to make sure that the children wanted to enter. We do a lot of coloring contests and pages, different drawing pages that gets them all involved. And so during the pandemic, we have a lot of our staff that have children, and every morning we listen to them struggling. They can't sign on to their classrooms. There's tons of crying. I listen to a lot of phone calls as they're in between sales calls. Mom, help me sign on. I'm struggling. So we're trying to figure a way we could target the children, give them something fun to do, and then put their names in a paper and just have something fun for them. So actually our publisher came to me, and our marketing director, and we sat down and talked, and he actually brought the idea to us and was wondering how we were going to sell it, because at this point we were unable to actually get in front of our advertisers. Everyone was working from home, as all of you know, and it was quite the struggle. So we decided we were going to start promoting. We were going to start doing promotion ads in the paper with a little form and a sample of the size paper we wanted the children to do. So we promoted that twice a week, targeting kids that were age 5 through 15, basically preschool to 12th grade. And we started receiving entries, and we had a total of 120 entries. And we still were not having success with our advertisers. So we decided, and as I also have on here, that we did offer them 3 random drawings of $50 for participating. And that really, I think, drove the entries. You can go to next slide, please. So our biggest problem was actually getting the advertisers to buy ads. We couldn't get in front of them. So we had a total of 10 advertisers that participated, but how we did it was basically a video call like this, holding pictures up that the kids actually did. Like, we received these beautiful pictures from the children. Help us publish this. You know, we have enough, we can do a 24-page tab, and we are printing every single one of them regardless. So we had 10 advertisers who purchased ads anywhere from full page to strip ads to half page ads. We tried to put them on pages where the art actually reflected what the children drew. And what they drew were basically thank you letters to all the essential workers, from post people, post officers, to pizza delivery, newspaper delivery, like everything you can think of. It was really cool. And the back page advertiser, he decided that he didn't really want to put an ad in that was pertaining to his business. So he chose one of the winners from an NIE publication that we did, design an ad. So that was pretty cool to have an artist on the back page from another similar program. You can go to next slide, please. So the tab ended up being 24 pages. It was absolutely amazing. We allowed the kids to salute essential workers, and they also really expressed themselves well. We were happy to be able to put that product out for them. The community response was amazing. I actually had people stopping me as we're coming across the street to go into the paper. Most of our staff was working out off-site, but I came in every day. And the gratitude was amazing. And we had people requesting extra copies and whatnot. So that was pretty cool. I think we have one more slide. Yeah, so again, the team secret weapon, that was actually just showing the artwork to the advertisers. We basically drew at their heartstrings also. Like I said, regardless, we were going to publish that, whether we were able to cover the cost or not. Because the response was so good from the kids. And we did offer it through the schools, but honestly, the teachers were having enough problems grasping what they were trying to do. So most of the people and the families that actually participated came from mail-ins and drop-offs. So it was really exciting. And I know if we did this now, like it may be a little slightly different topic, our revenue will be really high. We did get a lot of comments from people who we offered to an ad to, and they said no, that they were sorry they did not participate. So I think this is a great idea in any case. So, thank you for the opportunity to share that with you.
Thank you, Dawn. One question that came in here is, and this kind of reference to your last point, if you bring this back again, what would you do different, if anything? How would you approach this if it came back again?
Yeah, so we've actually been discussing it. We would probably do something. We do a lot of these publications, to be honest with you, like design an ad and stuff like that. So we will probably do something similar to that. But we would probably reach out, instead of through the schools, we would work with the public. We would definitely put promo ads out, use our billboards and whatnot to try to get the kids to mail in. They seem to have they had little thank you letters besides the art that they did, and it was really nice to see them coming to the door. So we would probably focus, instead of just through NIE, we would focus through our actual newspaper outlet.
Great. So positive response from the community, some revenue coming in, all while trying to support our general mission of taking care of everyone and spreading positive news in that side of things.
Absolutely.
It's great. Great project. That sounds like something we could duplicate at a lot of other papers out there.
But I have not rehearsed this, and I'm going to try to pay attention to time because I struggled to decide what to talk about. So I'm covering 3 topics, and I am very passionate about all 3. So I'm going to really try to stay on task, and I'm going to start with events. And the slide you're looking at here is an example of some of our magazine covers. 3 of them are for our events, and 1 is for a new product that I will talk about that we launched during the pandemic. So our event goals are something that we have really focused very diligently on. And let me say who the we is. I should have sort of told you a little bit about the background. We are the Observer Reporter and Almanac newspapers in southwestern Pennsylvania, and we are also the Herald Standard and Greene County Messenger in Uniontown and Greene County. And we are very proud of some of the things that we've accomplished during the pandemic. And I'm also proud to say that Jasmine was part of a lot of the things that you're going to hear me talk about, because we as a team, the Observer and the Almanac, created an events division that I would say that we were very proud of, and we were all super passionate about. And it went from a seedling of an idea to 15 events. And there is no way that we could have accomplished this without the team that we have. However, I'm going to talk a little bit about the team and the fact that the team has gotten a little bit smaller and that we are attempting to do these events this year, all of them. So maybe check back with me in about October and see if I'm standing. I don't know, or what color my hair is, or if I have any left. So let's just keep that in mind and put a little pin over there. But our event goals have remained, and we've tried to hone in on them a little bit more and focus on, obviously this was a revenue stream for our newspapers. That was a given. But in addition, and as important to that, is our community engagement. We are immersed in the communities that we are in, as most newspapers are, and we tried to make sure that we were doing something to give back to the community. So that was extremely important and continues to be so. And then the key for me is unique sponsorship opportunities. I sat on the other side of the desk for a very long time and wanted to have the ability to say yes to everything everyone presented to me, but I could not. So I often position our packages from the perspective of, what are we giving back to our sponsor to make them want to say yes year after year? Those are just some really cool photos of some of the events that we do. So go ahead on to the next one, Matt. So I'm going to talk quickly about the big boys. The big boys are the Food Truck Festival and Corks and Kegs. Our Food Truck Festival has quickly become one of the largest in southwestern Pennsylvania. We are extremely shocked to this day that there are this many food trucks. Like, where were they? Like, where did they all come from? But they're there. And so what we're doing, I could talk about the before, but I'm going to talk about the current day. Back in the day in 2019, we had more than 50 food trucks, and we had over 30,000 people at this event. It was a successful event for many reasons. We utilized our entire platform to promote our events. And some of you have heard me speak before, so I'm going to just try to hone it in on what worked. What worked was, one of the shots that you see there is the front page or the front cover of the magazine that we do. So every year our big events have a glossy magazine that's a flexi that we insert in our newspapers. However, in 2021, we are not going to create the pretty shiny flexi. We're going to do what we call the tiny tab. So it's a smaller tab and it's newsprint, and it's hurting my heart, but it's something that we need to do to try to recover expenses. What I will tell all of you is that somehow in 2021, we have 32 food trucks, and we were shooting for 30 just because when we started to plan this, we were not sure of what guidelines would be. So I said, let's shoot for 30. We're at 32, we're at 20 plus vendors, and the engagement that it's reached on social media is over 100,000 people. I'm a little bit nervous. My hands clammed up every time I say 100,000 people. I'm super clammy. What does this mean? It means that there's potential to do events again. Have people ask me, I have spoken to many different groups that have said to me, well, we don't have an event division. I will tell you, we had an event division, but it was tiny. Right now we have an event division that consists of one person, Jessica, she's on here. But it doesn't matter if you have 1 or 20, you have a team of people. And the way that we do this, if we don't have enough people, we're partnering with nonprofits to say, would you like a booth? We'll give you a donation. Can you provide me some volunteers? We are all in the creative business. Did I expect us to have food trucks in excess of 50? Absolutely not. But what has happened is we paired this all the way back, and we're making sure that we're utilizing our products to promote our events. So we utilize, go ahead on to the next one, please. We utilize full page ads in our magazines. We utilize social media. We utilize our website for the events, and we utilize any other product that we have. We here at the Observer have 50 magazines. I said 50. And so we obviously put promo ads in our magazines. We are also cognizant of the fact that we have to pay attention to page count. So we're not gluttonous about it in 2021. But the reason that I'm passionate about these events is because everyone can do them. You don't have to have 50 food trucks. You can have 10. They're out there, regardless of the market you're in. The one aspect I want everyone to think about when you're trying to do an event is you pick the proper venue. The venue is the absolute most important part. You want to try to find somewhere where they're not going to charge you, because everything that I do, I'm looking at the ROI. I'm trying to keep expenses low. So find a partner that will give you the venue. Why would they? Because we're a media outlet and we have advertising to offer them. So it is much easier than it looks. So utilize, sit down, write a marketing plan, write a business plan, and think about, you're always, for everything we have to spend, I'm trying to get a sponsor. If you have entertainment, you have it sponsored. You have tables and chairs, you have it sponsored. You might not call the table and chair sponsor. We call things the most bizarre, kids area, VIP, beer garden. We're in the creative business. There's a hook everywhere. So all you have to do is take a look at, this is my expense, this is what I need for sponsorship, and work backwards. We're going to save a little bit of money, a lot of money, on not doing the flexi and having a glossy print flexi. It's hurting my heart. I know it's the right thing to do. It's going to save us about $6,000. In the long run, these are things that you look at. We're in the creative business. I'll say it over and over again. Utilize your own products. Make sure you're using social media. Make sure you have the proper management of social media. I could talk about that all day. I will not. Go ahead on to the next slide. The next big boy is Corks and Kegs.
Sarah, real quick, 2 quick questions that came in about the food truck festival.
You have to shut me.
Did the food trucks, do they pay to participate, or is it they're just coming to participate?
Oh no, everybody pays. Everybody pays. So if you're a vendor, you're paying. If you're a food truck, you're paying. And what we decided to do this year is we're asking everyone to bring their own tables and chairs. So we obviously did not raise the prices of our vendor booths or sponsorship in 2021. What we did do, are we a little bit low for our market in terms of sponsorship? Possibly, but there's a lot of people going to the same well asking for sponsorship. So what we've chosen to do is keep our price point fair and flexible so that, we can get more sponsors rather than charge higher amounts. We typically tier it. So there is a naming rights, and then there's other things but everyone pays, except unless you're a nonprofit, and we try to kind of keep those to a handful to a minimum. And then for every event, we give a donation to the nonprofit that we have selected. In this case, typically it's the food bank for obvious reasons.
With the food trucks, can you give a range of what they pay?
Absolutely.
Not exact, but a range.
Yeah, between $300 and $500, depending on the size.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
How do you choose which businesses to target for the unique sponsorship ideas?
No one's a bad sponsor. Obviously, you go to financial car dealers, as you can see, or car dealers. Well, 2021's obviously a little different. We've got manufacturing issues. Car dealers love to have exposure of the cars. We all know they can co-opt the ad, so that's a no-brainer, but you offer them exposure at the event, right? You give them 1, 2, 5 cars. The more money you get, the more cars you can put on display. You can have signage. And if someone asks you, do you need to have a car dealer represented? No, nobody wants to talk. You do not want to talk to a car dealer while you're there. You literally want to kick the tires. They absolutely do not. They've sold cars. My son just told a story yesterday where Volkswagen sold a Tiguan in Corks and Kegs of 2019, and we had to rearrange everything because they wanted it that second. And I was like, take the car. So car dealers, financial institutions, healthcare, crazy things like water companies and moving and storage, you name it, they're a sponsor. There's no bad sponsor. Well, there can be bad sponsors. We don't have time for that. All right, go ahead. Go ahead on to Corks and Kegs. I'm gonna glaze past Corks and Kegs. Corks and Kegs was our first big boy, and I don't think any of us expected it to turn into what it has. And that is Jasmine shaking her head. The beer garden tent itself is 40 by 120. And I'm not even going to bore you guys with how we work that. If somebody wants to talk to me offline, shoot me an email. We do these 2 events, I should have said, at our local racetrack and casino. And I've had people say to me, we don't have anything like that. You need a field. You need a field. That's all you need. You don't need a casino. You need a field. In this case, we have a casino, so it's worked wonderfully. And it's also had its hiccups. So I could teach a class on how to maneuver and how to maneuver and figure out how to work with a vendor and a venue and going through changing times. It's been interesting on all of us, but this one in particular, the skies, everything aligned, the stars aligned in the sky for us. So In this case, it is a craft beer and wine festival. We are selective of who we allow in. We don't allow duplication of food trucks because this one's a little bit different. It's an alcohol event. Everybody needs to eat, but we don't allow duplication. We have a little more high-end vendors. There's shopping, there's a car cruise, and there's entertainment. So it's something to behold, and it pulls from multiple states. We are positioned, we're sort of in Pittsburgh with Jasmine, but we are near West Virginia and Ohio. But this event in particular has pulled from Maryland and New York, for sure, and Virginia. Okay, on to the next one. I think it's more corks and kegs. I don't remember. Yes, these are just some really cool shots of how beautiful it looks. And the ads that you see are our full page ads that we run in our own publications. And we have, I would have to say that this creative team has done an amazing job of every year making the promo ads and all of our social media and everything spectacular. So that's that for that one. Let me make sure my notes, I haven't forgotten anything. Oh, I do need to talk about these events are scalable, as I mentioned, so it can be super big or super small. I'm going to talk about a super small event next. Go ahead, Matt. Okay, this one's pretty near and dear to my heart, and some of your other presentations gave me some ideas on ways that we can enhance our All for Her. All for Her was a seedling, a little morph of an idea of something that we can do for women, about women, to women. So obviously there's shopping, and you see that there's makeup, but there's also a huge component about wellness. We have a speaker series that we have panelists. We try to secure keynote speakers that people might recognize, but this event has morphed into something that we didn't expect either. This is the only event that we actually have a group. We have a committee of women. So the hospital's the sponsor, and the hospital will not let go of that sponsorship. She has made it very clear she wants it forever and ever, amen. And so it's the hospital, it's a few other key sponsors in the area that we work with. So it's a panel of women that we get together and we talk about how we can make this event better. It's not about I here, it's about we on this team. And I am certain that I'm forgetting something. So I try to encourage all the creative geniuses that I work with to put our heads together. This event, we actually did virtually last year. We actually won a PNA award for this event, and I was more proud of that, I think, than anything in a very, very long time. I'm not going to talk about virtual events today because hopefully we don't have to talk about them anymore. If anyone wants to talk about them offline, I will tell you that we had 3 very successful virtual events, and All for Her in 2020, we netted more revenue than we have in any other actual event. So I'm very proud of what we have accomplished as a team. This event was something special. It's small. It's very tiny. If we have 300 people, that's fantastic. This is more one-to-one. And here again, the sky's the limit. We had obviously realtors. We have financial institutions. You name it, they can be a sponsor of this. Women want to talk about women's issues. That also has a tab associated with it. We did in 2020, we did not have Flexi magazine. We switched to a tiny tab and we saved thousands of dollars. So there's a lot of ways that you can do something on a huge scale and a very small scale. And we netted $22,000 on this event during a pandemic. So I'm super proud of what we created there. All right, next slide. I don't even know what's on the next slide. Okay. This is something that I think, as a team, we are stunned. We even pulled off ourselves. We had a magazine drop off at the end of 2019, and it was a business magazine. So we put our heads together and talked about what can we do to showcase local businesses. And so we came up with the Southwestern Pennsylvania Business Journal, and it's a name that we decided to create because we're not just Southwestern Pennsylvania. We go beyond that, but it covers the business region. This is a glossy one, so it costs a little bit of money, and we successfully created 4 of them during a pandemic. So how did we do that with 25% less staff? I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that question because I've been asked it about a dozen times. What I know is that we put our heads together in this room and we brainstormed ideas, and we worked with editorial every step of the way. And if we didn't have writers on staff because it was a pandemic. We got stringers because there's a million stringers out there that want some work, and they were affordable. And we put our heads together on the cover and the content, and we made money on every single edition during a pandemic. So I'm just proud of that. And I wanted to give a plug for the fact that we pulled it off, but I want to say that anyone can do this. It doesn't have to be glossy. It can be newsprint. It can be a tiny tab. It can be any of those things. You have so much business content in your markets. Every single one of you does. And there's so many businesses who want to be featured and highlighted. And this is a great way to do it. All right, next one. I'm not looking at my notes, so I know I'm forgetting something. Okay, this is something that we have really, really done a successful job as a team. We have a digital division called Reimagine Main Street. And our digital division consists of 2.5 people. Right, Natalie, we'll say 3 if you count 2 part-timers. They have come out of their shells and they think out of the box, and we do a digital contest every single month that nets revenue. We make money on it and the sponsors love it. These are just a couple of examples of these contests. Scared of Santa contest is one of my favorite. You can't go wrong with babies and animals, right? And so it's a photo contest. You can tier it. Sponsorship goes all the way from 5,000 down to, well, sponsorship is around 1,000 to 5,000. We sell blocks on there. It's obviously a digital contest. We're a huge proponent of Second Street. What you also are able to gather through these contests is data. So data is super important to us. And this is an easy way. If you don't work with Second Street, I recommend that you do. They're super affordable. And they have so many ideas in their vault that you can utilize. But this is something that has been a way to feature digital, right? Or feature print. So in some cases right now, we have clients who are no print, and we hook them here with these contests because there's always a print component, right? So it's actually, we've had a little bit of a metamorphosis with some of our digital clients who now want to do some print revenue. So it's shifting a little bit for us, but everything that we do is all morphed together. So everything has a print component, everything has a digital component, and we try to cross-sell in anything that we're doing. But our digital gal, Natalie Glody, has done a tremendous job of really focusing on these contests and making them special, so that we're also launching them in our sister market in the Herald Standard. So we're very proud of that. The takeaway from that, it's multi-platform, you can gather data, and they're a lot of fun. So there's that. As far as back to events are concerned, I don't want to forget to mention that we also do some contests within our events where you give something away, you can enter to win, you can utilize Second Street. There's a lot of things you can do. You gather data. Gathering data is very important to us in our industry. You want the data to utilize in newsletters and e-blasts and all of those things. There's a market right there on gathering the data. Okay, I talked too long.
It's okay.
Sorry.
I think that was the end of your slides right there.
Yes.
So I'm going to go back on that one. And I know you have to go, so I appreciate your time coming on today, Carole.
Yep.
And thank you for sharing everything.
Absolutely. If anyone has any questions offline, again, I'm going to say we started this event division from a little tiny seedling of an idea, and it morphed into 15 of them. They're all scalable, and it doesn't matter the size of your team, you can do it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing today. And, Heidi, you get to close us out today. So if you wouldn't mind sharing what's been happening at the Meadville Tribune.
Hi, everyone.
Heidi, you are on mute right now.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. Perfect.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Thank you guys for having me, and good morning. Today I'm going to talk about microsites or digital ad directories. If you want to go to the next slide, please. So how this all started here was our classified services directory, which we call ColaPro, and it's called different things at different locations. We were seeing a decline in our customer retention and interest. And so my classifieds manager actually found on Metro Creative Connection the opportunity to do themed websites. And so they're sort of micro websites themed to whatever you would like them to be themed to. And so what this did was gave us an opportunity for those small businesses to increase the cost of the ad so that we were getting incremental digital revenue while also giving that advertiser multiple platforms. And many times in the Call a Pro section, they're very small, one-man operations or very small businesses. And so this was the perfect opportunity for them to be on our website as well as in print. How it works is you create the website, and then you create a button on your website that will link to that particular website so that you have a lot of visibility there. It's a static button, so it's always on all of the pages and is accessible on a desktop and mobile. And what it did was it secures advertisers that were planning to drop off, but it also brought back some advertisers that had already fallen out of the program. So it not only secures incremental digital revenue, it secures print revenue as well. Next slide, please. This is just an example of two services directories and what they look like. Metro actually offers about 3 or 4 different versions, and you can then customize them to sort of replicate how you do things in print or not replicate how you do things in print. So this sort of Call a Pro, the upper image is ours, and then the bottom image comes from our sister website in Sharon, Pennsylvania. And theirs is called Call the Expert, ours is called Call a Pro. And how this directory sort of works is you would have an image to the left. We used sort of icons. They used actual visual images, which I really liked. And then you have the name of the advertiser. But the other nice thing about this is there's a brief description of what the services that they provide. And then there's also a one-click to call, one-click to map, one-click to go to their website. And so that's really nice if you're on your phone, which most people are, to easily contact these businesses. Next slide, please. So once we got that down, that alone covered the cost to do the program, and so more than covered the cost to do the program. But then we wanted to look at other ways that we could grow this product, and so we looked at all of our SIG type pages. So this is something that's great for your classifieds teams to sell if they do the SIG pages at your locations. For example, we did a holiday themed one. We do like a newspaper toolbox, Rudolpha gift guide sort of thing, and it's just a small thing for very small shops. And we included a Metro microsite that again replicated the visual of that in print, and we're able to increase the price per ad by $15 in that case. We've also done others, business card directory, support local. That was really, really successful during the pandemic. College and trade school guide that we do, a home improvement guide, wine and brew guide. So we have taken our special sections and made it so that we could increase the cost of the ads, which isn't easy in today's world with print circulation declining. We've been able to increase the price for almost all of our special sections by adding this onto it, and it's been really well received by our advertisers. So next slide, please. This is an example of our business card directory, which is up on our site right now. So you just basically create a 300 by 250 that you would create for your regular website anyway, and it's arranged with a little line at the top of the category in which it would fall under. And if you hover over each of the ads, the ad will get larger in size, and then there's an option again to click to go to their website, click to call, click to go to the Facebook page. That's also an option because some of these small businesses don't have a website, but they do maintain a Facebook page, and so you can click on and go to their Facebook page. So again, a lot of value to our advertisers, and especially the small ones. Next slide, please. This is an example of our college and trade. This is a different look. So this one, and there were more advertisers on here. They've sort of fallen off as we've had it up for a while. This we increased. The advertiser paid $50 extra for these per month. And they not only got their ad, with, again, if you hover over the ad, you can click to go to the website, Facebook page, etc. But beneath that is an advertorial, and all colleges have a marketing department. So their marketing departments would write up an advertorial about why you should go to that school, the great programs that they have, their placement rates, etc. And so all of that information is there, making it even more valuable for the advertiser, but also for our website visitors, for people that are looking for schools and want more information than just an ad. So that was really nice, this sort of process. And I will add that Metro is again who we use for this, but and they have been wonderful to work with, and they're incredibly accommodating. And so anything you dream up, they will build for you. Next slide, please. So this is another example of a site, and this actually this was a digital only. So we never had a section, and this is up all the time. It's not just up for a month. Most of our Metro sites are up for 1 month, for 30 days. That comes out the day of the printed publication in most cases. So for example, Business Card Directory came out in print on the 21st. The corresponding Metro site would also show up on our website on the 21st and would go up for 30 days. Of course, that's just us. That's, anybody could do it in any way that they wanted. But the Let's Go is up all year round, same as our Call a Pro. And Let's Go is sort of really all encompassing. And again, it's for those small businesses. So we do, classifieds will upsell all of our auctions onto the Let's Go. They upsell the little antique shops. They've had coffee shops on here, little bakeries, you name it. So this was always a digital only. It never, was a print product that we then duplicated. It's a digital only thing. Next slide, please. So just to reiterate the benefits, again, it adds new incremental digital revenue from small businesses. And the important part of that is, you might not necessarily want to do this for, focusing on larger businesses, because those larger businesses should really be doing O&O or even programmatic with you. But, you may have a special section, where it makes sense to throw it in there. But it gives those little guys a digital presence. The other nice thing about it is it's static, and I don't, you guys probably remember where most of our websites 10 years ago, 20 years ago had static ads or share of voice ads, where your customers knew that their ad was there because they could see it. And some of the objections that we got since shifting to a CPM model was, I can't see my ad. Well, in this case, these small businesses that maybe don't understand how algorithms work can see their ad. It's always there for the duration of the time that you have your directory up. It enables you to extend the audience of your programs and of your niche products. So if you do have your print circulation declining, this enables you to sort of make up for that audience by putting it online. And it provides also value to your website. It gives your visitors a place to go to get more information on the wineries and breweries in your area, or on the different auctions that you have coming up. And the most important thing is that it's affordable and it's very profitable, as long as you keep up with it. So next slide, please. So if you are interested in doing it, I did just want to give you the contact that I use. His name is Dan Perez. He is at Metro. So if you were interested in getting started, he is wonderful to work with. He is quick to get back. He's incredibly creative and talented. And like I said, we're picky here in Meadville, and so he has done a lot of custom design work for us, and he can help you, like I said, get started, go over pricing and all of that. In closing, the other ideas for sites, bridal guide, child care directory, dining guide, that I think would have been great too in the pandemic for like a takeout place. Shop local, best of the best, back to school, golf guide, church services, auto services, entertainment guide, visitors guide. And then the only thing I left off of here was, of course, a holiday gift guide. And I will say a lot of our special sections already include O&O. This is a way to add another thing on top of it to, again, obtain more revenue and more value to your advertisers. That's all I have. Thank you.
Heidi, we had a question come in on reporting. Do you track anything on here to report back to the advertisers, or is there no reporting involved with this portion?
There is reporting involved. There's a section in the back end. When you go to put in your advertisers in your ads, there's a section called analytics, and you'll be able to see how many impressions they're getting. Now, keep in mind, your price point is typically anywhere between $10 and $50. So you get what you pay for. And so I am probably the smallest market that's spoken today. So our impressions tend to be anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000 over the course of the month for each ad that gets displayed. So it does coincide with that small price point. A market that it has more website traffic than ours will see a higher impressions.
Will do. And is that URL kept on your site, or is it a separate URL for these? Like,
it's
is
a
it on
separate URL that they create for you, and you just give it to, in my case, I give it to the newsroom to put up onto our website to link to that button. And one more thing too about the number of impressions, I will say this: the people that are going to these sites are directly interested in these topics versus, so there's more value to those 1,000 impressions versus some impressions that can be delivered to anyone, whether they're interested in it or not. If you're clicking on the college guide button, it's because you're interested in learning about colleges. So there's a higher value also. Even though there's less impressions, there's a higher value.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that information, and thank you to all of our speakers for coming on. I know we ran a little bit long today, but we had a lot of really great revenue ideas for everyone on the call today. And we hope that's something that folks can take back and be able to use at their offices and at their publications, be able to help grow their revenue as a whole. Since we did run a little bit long at this point, we'll wrap up at this point and say thank you to everyone once again. Thank you to all of our attendees. And we hope you can attend our next session, which will be on the US postal system and how we can work with them to improve our delivery. So very exciting topic, maybe not exciting, but valuable, something we'll all want to know about. So again, thank you everyone for attending the Pennsylvania News Media Association's Community Newspaper Forum, and